Good afternoon, Spelman College. Thank you all so much for sacrificing your cafeteria time and your class time to be with us this afternoon as we welcome actor and entrepreneur and director and author Blair Underwood. My name is Tananarive. Some of you know me. I'm the Cosby Chair in the Humanities. This is our second Cosby Chair event. Very excited. Just by way of quick background, Stephen Barnes, my husband, and I have known Blair for many, many years. Some of you may know that we co-author a mystery series together, the Tennyson Hardwick mystery series. I saw some books. So when I heard that Blair, thanks to Angela Reed, is she in the house? Yes. When I heard from Angela on Facebook that Blair was going to be in Tenny, she tracked him down. She said Blair was coming to Atlanta, so I said, well, let me ask if he'd like to come by Spelman, and he absolutely agreed. And let's give Blair an extra thank you. He took a red eye. His flight got in at 6 this morning, so he's on short sleep, but he's always gracious. He's very happy to be here. Many of you know Blair, but I'll just give you a little bit of background information on him. He just finished a tremendous run as Stanley in A Streetcar Named Desire on Broadway, in a very rare multicultural cast that was incredible. If you missed the show, I'm so sorry for you, but I was there. I got to see it. My girlfriends and I made a trip up to see it. He's best known for so many roles. I'll start with the film roles. Set It Off, Just Cause, Medea's Family Reunion, I Will Follow, and more recently, Woman Thou Art Loosed on the Seventh Day. Also, of course, television, Sex and the City, LA Law, In Treatment. I really could spend the whole hour just talking about Blair's career, but I think you would rather have me bring him to the stage, so with Blair Underwood. Also joining me on the stage is my husband, our other co-collaborator, Stephen Barnes. That's okay if you don't scream. We're used to, we're used to that when we hang out with Blair. Before we begin, let me just tell you a little bit about Stephen Barnes as well.
Yeah.
He has been my partner and collaborator for 14 years. Not only do we co-author the Tennyson Hardwick mystery series, we co-author a young adult zombie series that began with the novel Devil's Wake. Domino Falls is coming out in February. Steve has had an amazing career. Outside of that, his epic alternate history, Lion's Blood, is an award-winning novel about what would have happened if Africa had colonized the Americas instead of Europe. It's a fascinating novel. He has written more novels, 20 novels at least, more than I can name. Also a prolific television writer for such shows as The Twilight Zone, Outer Limits, Stargate, Andromeda, Geeks in the House, all your favorite shows he's written for, including Baywatch. And I also want to recognize just a few people who are here and thank all of you so much for being here. Our editor at Atria Books lives part-time in Atlanta. She is here, Malaika Adero, Senior Vice President at Atria Books. Michael Samanga, the Executive Director of the National Black Arts Festival, is here. Thank you very much for being here. Kim Fields is in the house from Living Single.
You gotta stand up, Kim. You gotta stand up now.
And I'd also like to thank I would also like to give special thanks to the Black Women Film Network. Founder Cheryl Riley Gripper is here. They have been kind enough to give the three of us their Pinnacle Award, which we will receive next March, and we are very honored to receive that. Thank you so much for all the support and love, Atlanta. And now, without further ado, a conversation with Blair Underwood.
Thank you, T.
Okay, can everyone hear me? Okay, great. Well, I like to start with clips, as my students know. So I don't want to put the technical people, no? Oh, no clip? Okay, we won't start with the clip. But we will have the clip later, right? Yes, we'll have the clip later. In any case, Blair, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
I hope Spelman is making you feel welcome.
Oh, most definitely.
Yes.
Most definitely.
How many of you are actors or actresses? A
Oh,
lot
good.
of theater folks, that's great. So they are eager to hear your wisdom, your advice. I'd like to begin with Streetcar, because
right.
the Tennessee Williams classic theater, multiracial cast, your Stanley, what was that like?
Ooh, where do I start? First of all, hello to everyone. Beautiful faces. Let me give love, because I got family. You mentioned Malika, thank you, and great to see you, brother. It's been a while. Kim Fields, her husband Chris is here also. So I don't know if there's many brothers in the house, but you can't step to it. And my business partner, Gary Reeves, is here, who's like my brother. And my cousin, Adonna Mullins, is in the house. Woo! We love Adonna. But, geez, where do I start? Streetcar. Well, Streetcar, first of all, A Streetcar Named Desire, written by Tennessee Williams, is just a tremendous work of art, literary work of art. And it's one of those plays as young actors, when I went to college, we would train, we would learn and study these plays, Shakespeare and the greats like Tennessee Williams and others. But I never really thought I would have an opportunity to play Stanley, because this is Stanley Kowalski's his name. He's a Polish man. It's a classic play on Broadway initially in 1947. They made a film in 1951 starring the great Marlon Brando and Vivian Leigh. So it's a classic in every sense of the word. But I never thought as a black actor I would necessarily get that opportunity. So I really attribute the opportunity to Stephen Bird, I almost said Stephen Barnes, Stephen Bird, who produced the play, and his partner, Aaliyah Jones.
Virginia.
Yeah,
So they
it was
said.
an incredible experience. Because, I started in theater. I started doing local dinner theaters in Richmond, Virginia. And Virginia's in the house? Oh,
And,
right on.
and also,
Yeah.
and also musical theater, right?
It's like Chris from Richmond. That's
Blair
right.
can sing, y'all. I don't
Well,
know.
hold on.
Okay.
I can carry a tune. I wouldn't call myself a singer. But yeah, that came from when I was doing Finian's Rainbow, musical in this music, Swift Creek Mill Playhouse. And I was speaking to a woman named Eloise LeBron. I'm always trying to grab people who have been down a path and have wisdom and have been there much longer than I have to teach me. I'm always trying to pick the brain of those who have gone before me. And Eloise had been doing theater in Richmond for a long time, and she said, if you want to be in this business, you have to become a triple threat. It was the first time I'd heard that term, and I said, what is a triple threat? She said, you have to learn how to sing, dance, and act. And that way, if you do that, you expand your opportunities to be employed, yes, for one. So I went on, and thankfully I got admitted into Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh and studied there. So I studied, doesn't mean I'm a singer, but I did study singing.
Question. You've worked in film, television, and stage, Broadway, which is like the very pinnacle of what you can do in terms of stage. I was wondering whether or not you'd make a comment about the differences between working in those different mediums. If there is a difference between television and film, what that is, but certainly between television, film, and the stage, performing live.
It's a great question. There's a huge difference, obviously, in working with the camera and working on stage. And my foundation, as I said, was working on the stage. So I had to learn how to transition from that to working in front of the camera. Mm-hmm. And primarily, it's just you make everything smaller. The process of creating a character, the work you do to find that character and learn your lines and do the backstory, that all stays the same. But how it manifests is different when you're in front of the camera, because it can be too big. And oftentimes, the one problem I found with myself was, I'm very gregarious. I use my hands a lot. I like to talk with my hands. It's also a cultural thing. We are very passionate. We're passionate people. And what I learned was that on the camera inside that frame, if the camera's looking at your face and trying to look into your eyes, every time your hand comes up in the frame, it distracts. So I had to learn how to just calm everything down and be quiet for the lens.
So would the reverse be true, that someone who starts out in film or television, then on stage, they'd have to make their gestures larger? And
I would say so, and it's much easier, I'll tell you, it's much easier if you have the foundational training of the theater and have done that to bring it down than to be small. Because being small from camera is just being natural.
which do you prefer?
I prefer the stage.
Why?
I prefer the stage because the energy we feel right now with all of these people is immediate. That's right.
Little fall of response action there.
Yeah, but it's immediate, and for instance, Streetcar, which is a very dramatic, very emotional play. It's not a comedy, although sometimes I'd wonder sometimes with our audiences sometimes. But it's not. It's very dramatic, and when there's excitement, you feel it. When there's anger, when there's danger on the stage, you feel it with that audience. So that you don't get that same call and response. You don't get that same partnership that you have from an actor with an audience. You don't get that on camera.
Let's talk about Streetcar, because those audiences were so appreciative. You had standing ovations night after night. Yeah. After doing so many years of camera work, was there a difficult transition, something you had forgotten, something you had to remind yourself of when you were doing Broadway?
Not really. It's like riding a bike. And that's why I'm grateful that I started there. Because I tell you, I have a lot of friends, and Kim can attest to this, we have a lot of friends in this industry who have only done film and only done camera work. And they will tell you they're terrified to do the stage. Kim is like my sister. I mean, we met when I first got into the business 27 years ago. And, she is someone who directs stage, she does theater, she does obviously film and television. But a lot of actors who have not done that are terrified of it. And that's why I say, I just was talking to some young reporter upstairs a few minutes ago, what advice would you give to young aspiring actors? And I always say, do the stage, do the theater, if that's what you want to do. Now today is a whole different ball of wax, because a lot of people want to be stars and they want to be famous. If that's what you want to do, I can't help you with that, because that's an act of God. I mean, it's opportunities. But if you want to be serious about your craft and do the work, get on the boards.
I would imagine.
I was smiling as I say get on the boards, because when I walked on that stage, because that was my dream, to do Broadway. I mean, like I said, I started in theater in Richmond. I'd done theater, and I'd done Shakespeare in the Park and other theatrical productions, but never Broadway. And I walked in the Broadhurst Theater the first day, and I said, we as actors often talk about getting on the boards, the floorboards, the stage. And I said, when this is all said and done, I want to cut out a chunk of that board, and I'm going to hang it on my wall when I get on.
You're the one who cut out that chunk of board out that stage.
Yeah. So Broadway, this performance that you just did, you would consider that to be the pinnacle of your entire career up until this moment?
For me, I consider one of the highlights. Yeah, one of the highlights, if not the highlight of my career. And it's because of the experience of that every night, that give and take with the audience. And not just any play, because it was that play, because it was that character. Great American classic play. And warts and all, the pushback we got, because we did get pushback from the Broadway.
I was going to ask about that.
I knew you were going there, T. I knew
Yes, because we are an HBCU, and these are artists of color who will be confronting some of the issues that you confronted. And it is 2012, but Blair has some stories to tell. We went to dinner afterward and talked it out, and we ended up with a Huffington Post piece by my friend Olympia Duhart on the resistance from sort of the power structure, the Broadway power structure, to the whole idea of these multiracial casts. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, you have to understand, as I started saying, because of what Tennessee Williams represents to the canon of American theater, this whole conversation, and we talked a lot about this, is very analogous to our president in the White House. And the same kind of pushback you get from a certain faction of society who cannot wrap their head around the fact that a black man is in the White House and will do everything to discredit it. If you understand that, it's pretty much the same kind of pushback we got from that very insular, very insulated community of Broadway. They're not, and not all, because we got a lot of love from a lot of factions, and we really did. But it's a small vocal minority, and that minority is like the birthers. They're so crazy, they're so fringe, and they just cannot wrap their head around the idea that black people would have the audacity to take on Tennessee Williams. And these producers, Stephen Burton and Leah Jones, did Cat on a Hot Tin Roof 4 years ago. James Earl Jones, Terrence Howard, huge success. And they just, in terms of the reviews and the critics, just decimated it. So before we even took the stage, there was one article, we talked about this, from John Lahr in the New Yorker magazine, very liberal magazine. And he said, Santa Claus, this was his Christmas list, please do not give me any all-black cast of Tennessee Williams unless we can have our equal in folly of an all-white cast of August Wilson.
The nerve of putting that in print, even.
So understand, this was before we even started rehearsal. But he heard we were coming. So, and I don't read reviews. I haven't read reviews in about 20 years. It's a good thing. But I mean, I heard those who told me, said we got some great reviews, and we got mixed reviews, and we got some that, you know, wanted to tear it down. But you have to understand, if that is what you're walking into, if that is the climate you're walking into, of people who have an agenda and don't want to even see black people attempting to do Tennessee Williams, you understand it's not about the work. They're not critiquing the work. It's the power of the idea that we, as artists of color, can do that work and do it well. Just as our president is being the president and doing it well, there are people who just they don't want to see it, don't want to hear it, and will not wrap their heads around it.
You've had fairly astounding longevity.
But I just want to finish that thought. Because of that, and I think, and you know me well enough to know, I like going into the lion's den. If the best thing you can tell me is no. The best thing you can tell me is I can't do something. So we're so.
That's right, clap.
We were so unified in this. You know, I say we being the whole cast. That's one of the reasons I had so much fun, because we were together in it, and the audiences showed up, and the audiences, you know, the audiences tell you if you're doing the work or not.
Yes, they